Welcome to Offbeat, the light side of law enforcement, part of the Treehouse Podcast Network. I'm your host, retired officer Steve Rutherford. Your co-host on today's show, Detective Curtis Hadley.
Hey guys, how are y'all?
Curtis is a detective with the Fort Worth Police Department. Joining us in studio today, we've got Detective Karla Vazquez.
Hello, hello.
And joining us remotely today from Boston, Massachusetts, we've got retired officer Jim Berry.
Hey, Steve. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for joining us. Everybody doing okay today?
Oh yeah,
Pretty good.
Excellent. Yep.
All right. Let's start with Karla. Karla, you are currently a detective.
Mm-hmm.
How long have you been an officer?
Almost 11 years now. I started with in Shreveport, Louisiana, and then I moved out to the Dallas area. So
Okay, so you're in Texas now, but started over in Shreveport. What kind of positions have you held within the agencies you've been at?
I did patrol while I was in Shreveport. I did 2 years out there, and then I moved out here to the Dallas area, and I've been on patrol. I was on patrol for about 8 years, and I'm a detective. Been detective for about 4 months now.
good job.
Thank you.
Yeah, Curtis is a detective.
Yeah, I mean I've only been like 2 years, so
I'm surrounded by detectives. I'm like a
we knew that before you did. We already detected it.
Right. Detective in. That's what we do.
That's why you get paid the big bucks.
Yeah.
Detective. Yeah. Okay. Now, Jim, where were you an officer at?
I was in a small town outside of Boston, Lexington, Massachusetts. It's about 30,000 residents, 50 officer department.
Okay. How long have you been retired?
I'm retired 3 years now. Just the other day, Juneteenth was my retirement date. So just hit 3 years.
Congratulations.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Yeah. Are you starting to learn how this retirement thing goes? I mean, are you any less busy than when you were working?
I keep myself busy, but I also keep myself entertained. I do a lot of traveling. I just got back from Florida last night. Actually I'm probably one of the old people that could say I went to Florida this week to beat the heat because it was my hometown up here in Massachusetts. They had a heat index of 122.
Wow.
And in Florida, it was 85 sitting by the beach, nice cool breeze. So that's a little role reversal.
So wait, the heat index in Boston was 122?
Yeah, just outside of Boston, west of Boston in the suburbs, they had 122 heat index.
Wow, I didn't realize it got that hot there.
Yeah, I had no idea.
It normally doesn't, especially in June.
That's why y'all talk weird.
Yeah.
Makes sense now.
Okay. And
You
how
guys
long were
live that
you-
like every day, right?
Yes.
Oh yeah, that's normal.
That's normal for you.
Yeah, at that temperature, we're throwing on jackets.
Yeah.
A light hoodie.
A light hoodie. Yes, there you go. Now, how long were you an officer, Jim?
I did 34 years.
Wow.
Wow.
I started in 1986.
Wow, 1986.
He's older than me.
I was in fourth grade.
All right, now I'm feeling old.
Yeah, that qualifies. That qualifies you there. When Detective Vazquez here is, younger than the amount of time you spent in
Way
law
younger.
enforcement. Way younger.
I wouldn't know.
Way younger. You had to rub that one in.
Wow.
Wow.
They say the microphone.
All right,
has
well, it's
10
nice
pounds.
talking to you. I'm going to be going now.
But you're retired now, so, you can rub
Yes,
that
I am
in.
retired. Yeah, so I have that I can hold over you.
Yes. I'm jealous.
Now, what all positions did you hold within your department, your agency, Jim?
Well, I actually started as a cadet. We have Lexington has a police program, cadet program that college students can come in and work as they're in school for criminal justice. I was only there for about 3 months before I got sent to the police academy. I actually turned 21 in the academy. I was a patrol officer for a bunch of years, went up through the ranks, became a patrol supervisor, patrol lieutenant, and then my final job the last 7 years was lieutenant detective, in charge of the detective bureau.
Wow.
So another
nice.
detective, yeah.
Another detective? What the hell?
That's a long time.
That is, and that was very descriptive. I'll give you that. I really feel like we know each other now because I feel like I truly know your entire career. So yeah, most descriptive we've had so far on the show. Now, in your tenure in law enforcement, I know you've seen a few things, and
Probably dinosaurs. Well, that's cadet years. I'm not saying like later years, but I'm saying he's seen a lot.
It's not fair to beat him up. He's not even.
I'm not beating him up.
Here.
He's laughing with me, not at me. So
Oh, I'm good with it. Don't worry. I can take a joke. Don't worry.
he's in Boston. He's got this.
he's like butter.
Yeah, forget about it.
Okay. Oh, well, wait. You're in Boston, so we got to ask because Joanne Jackson, our rotating co-host. I hope you heard the episode where she was talking about the device that people use to mow their yards.
Yes.
Are you familiar with that device? What kind of device do you use to mow your yard with, Jim?
I'm retired. I use my nephew. I pay him to do it.
That was a good answer. I just didn't know if you had a lawn mower too.
A mower.
A mower. Okay.
Yeah.
I had one, but it's easier to pay my nephew. So.
Yeah. Kudos to you, man. They embrace the retirement life. So in your time there, you said it's Lexington, correct?
Correct.
What all did you see? Give us a couple stories.
Well, like I said, I started as a police cadet, which is a great program that the department ran with and still does do. It gives a chance for college-age students to be able to do some work at the police station. I mean, just before I started, they actually went out on patrol. They were armed. They stopped that right before I started, but we still went out. We did ride along with officers on our shifts. We would do traffic direction. We could do parking enforcement. And they still do that. And so many of those police cadets have gone on to great careers in law enforcement in Lexington and outside of Lexington. But there were also times that we would have fun with the cadets when we were working with them.
Of course.
I can remember as a desk officer, we had a couple of times it happened on quiet shifts. If I was in the lieutenant's office and the cadet was covering the phones out in the dispatch center, I knew how to call in on the special line they had that made it look like it was coming from another town office. So I would call in on that line, and the cadet would think it was someone else from the town, not someone from the public. And I can remember several times I did this with different cadets, but I would call up and I would ask, I would claim I was from the water department, and I would ask if they had gotten any calls about any water leaks or anything. And of course, there was nothing going on. So they said no. I'd hang up, wait a few minutes, call back and say, well, we got people calling us saying that there's a low water pressure around the center area where the police station is. I'd say, hey, can you just go check the water pressure in the station? And they'd usually put me in hold, and they'd walk down the hallway to the kitchen, and I could turn the faucet on and run the water, and then they'd come back and they'd say, oh, no, the water's working. And I'd say, I tried to catch you before you left. I said, did you just open a faucet to check that, or what did you do? And they said, yeah, we went down to the kitchen. I said, you really got to flush a toilet, because that's the only way you can get enough water pressure to see if it needs to be attended to. So they put me on hold again. They'd walk across the hallway into the bathroom, and they'd flush a toilet. And then they'd come back and they'd say, yeah, everything looks good. So I said, okay, thanks. I'd hang up, give it another 10, 15 minutes, call back and say, well, I was looking through the plans, and it looks like the police station's fed off two different water mains, one off the main street and one from the neighborhood out back. I said, could you do me a favor, and could you flush a toilet on every floor of the department, on all three floors, to make sure they're all working? So we'd watch the cadet would go downstairs into the toilets, and downstairs were in the cell block. He'd go into the cell and he'd flush a toilet, go back into the other first floor out dispatch, flush the toilet, go up to the third floor, and you could just hear the toilet flush. And he'd come walking back down and pick up the phone and say, yeah, no, everything works. I'd thank him again. Hang up, give it another 20 minutes or so, usually a little longer this time, and I'd call back and say, okay, listen, we figured out the issue. It's not actually a water leak, it's a sewer leak. So if you could do me a favor, go get a piece of toilet paper and get a marker, and can you write LPD on the toilet paper? And don't crumple it up. Just go down to a toilet and hold it up and flush it straight down the toilet. And I got guys at the pumping station to be able to see which floor line's leaking. And they did it.
Wow.
Multiple times. I had different cadets doing this before we finally let him in. One of them, he caught it right at that point. He recognized my voice and was like, he thought, though, at that point, I was just making up, pretending to be the guy from before. He didn't even realize I was the guy from before the first time with the sewer leak. That means water pressure. So, yeah, we had some fun with that.
That's commitment there, man. That's a lot of dedication for that prank. You know, at my agency in Farmers Branch, the training officers would just take the recruits out to one of our local parks as a pond and has ducks, and we just make them count ducks. They'd have to call it out in the radio, and everybody just laugh at them. And then, you know, you get a good training officer every now and then, ask them, well, how many mallards are there? And, you know, start breaking down the different varieties of ducks, and they'd have to give it right. So it was always fun just to do that with them.
I miss the bullying.
The bullying?
It builds character. I feel like nowadays it doesn't, like the cadets nowadays just don't get that. Yeah, and they're missing out.
Well, you know, most officers don't get into this profession to have thin skin.
Absolutely.
Right? No. So we just kind of need to carry that on. And that's something that, you know, all of us have been around for a while. Some of us more than others, right, Jim?
Yeah.
Little jab.
It's okay.
You think back to whenever you started. Think about your training officer. I mean, it was a tough world, but you know what? It gave you thick skin. It prepared you for the job. So yeah, I mean,
100%.
I miss some of those fun things, like Karla said. Hell yeah. Now,
well, I'll tell you, when I first came on, I had my first year on the job, and again, I'm dating myself on this one too, and I'm sure you're going to hear from it. When we would go out on our shifts, we had to keep a police log. When I started in 87, it was still a handwritten log. It was a notebook that we had to come in and we had to write our journal notes in on what call we went to, the time, date, what the call was for, and what the results of the call were. So you go, 10 Main Street, 2 a.m., house alarm, all secure. And you write out by hand all the officers that were at the scene. And that was our police log for years. Well, being the junior officer on the night shift, we always lined up by seniority, and when the senior officer got to do theirs first so they could go home quicker. Well, there was one day I got a late call, and I was probably coming into the station about an hour after the end of my shift. And I went up to do my log at the front desk. Well, the desk officer that was working that day, he was an old-timer at that time. He had been on almost 30 years at the time. And he was one of those tough old-time cops that didn't like the rookie cops. And, he just wouldn't give us a time of day for anything. And, and also he came on at the time, too, when, they had height requirements of, you had to be at least 5'9" to be an officer. Well, I'm 5'5", so I wasn't, in his mind, an officer. So I started my log and started doing my entries. And he comes walking by and he looks at me and gives this tough growl and stares at me and goes, "Oh, what do they do? Lock you in the trunk?" And I didn't miss a beat. I just kept writing. I just said, "Nope, the glove compartment." I thought he was going to have a heart attack. He started laughing so hard. He was holding on to keep from falling down. He's like, "Oh my God, that was the best thing I've ever." After that, we were fine. He was fine with me after that.
Yeah, you're friends at that point. That's beautiful. Yeah. Karla.
Yeah.
All right. 11 years, right?
11
years.
Yes.
Seen anything crazy out there in your 11 years?
Well, define crazy, I guess. But, this is this career, I was told, in the academy is you get a front row seat to the greatest show on earth. Absolutely. So there's a lot of up and downs, but there's definitely as you progress through the career, you build, a different sense of humor. Oh, yes. And situations where maybe, other people, your common folk, wouldn't notice as funny, it's definitely humorous to us. I guess a light one. One of my partners, we're both females, small. We got called for an animal complaint call at a residence. So Jenny and I pull up. Her name's Jenny. If she hears this, she'll know exactly. She'll remember exactly what call I'm talking about. So we show up. We're walking up to the house. All we got is the homeowner thinks that there's an animal in her house. So we're a little confused. We're like, okay, whatever. We walk up to the house. We knock on the door. Nobody answers. All the lights are off. And then we hear like, hey, over here. The lady is waving at us through the window. She had opened the window. She was locked in her bedroom and was waving at us to come. So we're like, okay, fine, cool. So she asked us to climb through the window.
What?
So we climbed through the window. And she's like, yeah, I feel like there's an animal. I hear some scratching. It's in the living room. Can you please go check? I'm scared. I don't want to go over there. So Jenny and I are like, okay, I guess. Fine, whatever. So I pull out my handy baton. I'm holding it like a bat. Scared as fuck. Can I curse?
Yeah, you can curse.
Okay. Okay, cool. And Jenny has pepper spray. She has pepper spray. So we stack up tactically, kind of like hunched because we're scared. I don't want to fight a raccoon or whatever the hell it was. So we tactically approach the living room with my baton, and Jenny has her pepper spray. We're like, okay. We hear the scratching. It's like...
How was it? Oh, good.
Very, very...
Evil scratching.
Evil.
Yeah, it's not the normal
Very
scratch.
evil.
That's definitely not normal scratching.
Yes.
So I peek. I'm you know...
peed?
No, peek.
Oh, peeked. Okay, I thought when you were just scratching, you peed, because I probably would have peed myself a little
I
bit.
probably would have, honestly. I was almost there. So I was point, and I peeked through the wall around the corner, and there's a balloon stuck on the ceiling fan, and that's what's making the scratching noises. And I felt so dumb. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? This is ridiculous. I felt stupid. So we were tactically approaching a balloon that was stuck on the ceiling fan, and it was making the scratching noises, and the lady locked herself in the room, and I had to climb through a window for a freaking balloon. You know?
You didn't like go back to the room where the lady was at, run in real quick, close the door. Ma'am, do not go out there. Do not.
I should have.
Abort.
I should have at this point.
Then the two of you and your backup just go run and jump out the window and take off.
Yes, that would have been great.
I would have just flopped back in like, just save yourself.
Yes. There's a dinosaur, from Lexington.
Wow.
Did you at least hit the balloon with your ass
I
or
did.
anything?
I'm not tall enough.
She couldn't reach the balloon, but she can hit it with her baton.
Yeah, I was ready to beat the shit out of the raccoon or whatever it was in there.
The balloon,
but I was disappointed.
The Balloon Bandit.
Oh, those damn balloons.
Thank God he's full of hot air.
Yes.
Hey, Steve, that actually reminds me of another call we had once where a woman called up middle of like 3 a.m. reporting kids in the woods behind her house partying. And so we get by the house, we go down the trails into the woods. We can't hear anything. We can't find anything. So we clear. She calls back like 15 minutes later. So we go back a second time. We're walking around, still can't find anything. So we clear it again. So the third time, now we get the call from the lieutenant. And so the woman's really mad. She's saying, you're not doing your job. You got to get out there. They're keeping her up. Like, there is no one here. We can't find anyone. So we go back up to the house to talk to the woman, and she starts yelling at us. Like, what is wrong with you? Why can't you do anything? Do your job. I'm trying to sleep. Like, ma'am, we can't hear anything. She goes, I can hear it loud as day. So we go walking around the shit of fenced-in pool. We have to go walking around to the gate, and we go over by the window where she is. You tell me you can't hear that? And all of a sudden, as we get closer, we can hear it. And I look, get right under the window of her bedroom window is a table with a radio playing. So I just walked over and I shut the radio off. I looked up at her and said, okay, we're done now. There was no one in the woods. It was her own radio outside her window that she kept calling and saying we weren't doing our job. We didn't know what we were doing.
But, okay, help me sort this one out. So this is a radio that's underneath her window.
Yeah.
Her radio?
She had left it on when she was at the pool during the day. She thought it was kids out in the woods playing music and drinking. We went out there, like I said, 2 times, and reported there was nothing out there. And she called up yelling and screaming that we didn't know what we were doing. We had no idea how to do our jobs and how incompetent we were. And it was her own radio right outside her bedroom window that she was hearing.
How did she react whenever you told her, ma'am, apparently you left your own radio on, maybe you don't know what you're doing?
Yeah, she just thanked us and shut the window. That was it. End of story. She knew she was wrong, but she wouldn't admit it.
Broke off contact.
The lieutenant had a good laugh when we explained it to him.
All right, guys, we're going to take a break real quick. We'll be back to more Offbeat in just a moment. Welcome back to Offbeat, the light side of law enforcement. I'm your host, retired officer Steve Rutherford. Co-host for today's show, Detective Curtis Hadley.
Howdy.
Joining us in studio, Detective Karla Vazquez.
Hello, hello.
And joining us remotely from Boston, Massachusetts, we've got retired officer Jim Barry.
Hey.
All right. We discussed a couple things on break, guys, and you guys shared a couple stories with me that I'm going to ask you to share with our listeners here. But before we do that, let me remind our listeners. First off, if you are an officer and you have a funny story that you would like to come on the show and share with our listeners, send us an email, offbeatcopshow@gmail.com. Again, that's offbeatcopshow@gmail.com. And if you have not been to our website, check out the website. It's offbeatonair.com, offbeatonair.com. Make sure that you subscribe to the email list. You can check out all the previous episodes on there as well. Also, check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I think I got them all. Sound good?
I think so.
Did I miss anything?
YouTube? No.
Yeah, YouTube. You can watch on YouTube also. If you want to see our smiling faces. Well,
I did subscribe today to the YouTube channel.
There you go, guys.
I'm glad I looked because I was like, wait, are people going to be able to see us? Yeah. And I was a little concerned about that.
Well, they can see
explains the earrings.
Yes.
Unless you put your hands in front of your face, then they, otherwise,
Well, the earrings are because I'm Puerto Rican.
Oh, okay.
It has to, I have to have hoops.
I have to have hoops.
Can't live without them.
Okay.
I'm seeing a hoop collection here.
Hoop, there it is.
Hoop.
Okay. Let me see. Jim, son, you had a coworker that was freaked out by eyeballs, right?
Eyeballs, exactly. She did not like eyeballs, anything to do with eyeballs. It was just one of her things.
Did she know that eyeballs are normal and you're supposed to have a couple of them?
Yeah, well, she's okay with people having them, but any injuries to them or touching them, no, it just freaked her out big time.
Okay, fair enough.
So there was one time, dating myself again years ago on Late Night with David Letterman, he had his segment of Stupid Human Tricks. And he brought this woman on one night, and we were actually in the station when it was on. And she could, on her own, on command, just basically staring, and she could pop her own eyeballs out of the sockets. So they'd be sticking way out. And
what?
Yeah.
No.
It doesn't sound fun.
It was interesting. And as soon as it happened, this officer, I don't want to mention her name, but she just jumped up, freaked out, screamed, and took off. And she was like, "He can't handle eyeballs. I can't handle this." So
she doesn't like the balls, huh?
Yeah, she didn't like the eyeballs, that's for sure.
Doesn't like the balls.
So, of course, on hearing that, I kind of figured, all right, I got to use this now somehow. So a few days later, I went online and found a picture of this woman with her eyeballs popped out. So I printed it up. I made tons of copies in all various sizes and everything. And there was one night we were working together. We were on the road, and she had gone into the station for something about halfway through the shift and left her car unlocked. So I went in and filled her cruiser up with these pictures of these eyeballs popping out of this woman's head. I put them on the speedometer. I put them where the radio was. I put them in the glove box. I put them on the visor, on both sides of the visor, put them on the windows and rolled the windows down. So when she came out of the station, she hopped in the car and she looked down, and as soon as she started the car up, she could see on the dashboard the eyeballs popping at her. So she screamed and grabbed it, crunched it up. She looked up, there was one on the visor. So of course she just slammed the visor down, where there was another one on the other side already.
Excellent.
There was one on the radio. She was ripping them up, and I'm over, a little ways away. I can't really see it all, but I could hear it. And then she starts to head out, and she starts the car up, and as she's driving out, she's putting the windows up, and on both sides, big 8x10 pictures of the eyeballs coming. So she slams the car into park, and she's ripping them out, and she wasn't happy at all. But the funniest part was later that night, because earlier in that shift, we had met, and it was her turn to buy coffee. So she gave me the money, and I actually went and picked it up. But before I returned to her, I took the change from her $20 bill, all the change that she'd given me, and I put a little eyeball picture on each of the president's faces on the bills. So I handed it to her, and she just grabbed the money and put it in her pocket. So all night long, I'm waiting for her to say something about that. Well, the 8-hour shift goes by, and there's nothing. So I grab our lieutenant, I explained to him what was going on. I said, hey, you got to go down and ask her to change a $20 bill. She said he'd do it. I was hiding around the corner, and he walked in and said, hey, you got change for a 20? And she immediately stops, and she went to grab it, and she said, no, that little shit put you up to that. There's eyeballs on that picture, on that bill. I know there's eyeballs on that bill. He's like, what are you talking about? And she won't even look at him. She's closing her eyes and pointing. He's like, there's nothing wrong with this bill. No, that little shit. He's like, what are you talking about? And she looks over and sees that the bill was fine. So she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. He's got me so paranoid. He's been sticking eyeball pictures all over the place. And she's like, I can break that 20. And she reaches in her pocket and she pulls out a change. And she looks down and she starts shaking and screaming. She's like, oh, this is my money. This is my money. There's eyeballs. How did he do this? How did he do it? It was in my pocket. It was in my pocket. She just starts screaming and freaking out. How did he do it? How did he do this?
Well played, man. That's ninja skills right
ninja
there.
Level.
Yeah,
that's dedication right there.
Yeah, I mean it wasn't.
It's all about the end game, but that's a true seasoned officer.
Absolutely.
When you can figure out somebody else's misery is your entertainment
and exploit it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you can do this over a period of time. I mean, that's
there were other times.
Yeah,
there were plenty of other times too.
Well, and we had the guys. Curtis had a couple of his fellow guys in from Fort Worth Police Department in here. I think it was on episode 5, and they were talking about the long game. Some of the pranks and jokes they played on each other, and then 3 years later, this guy's still finding pictures of what was it? He drew
dick pics.
Dick pics, yeah,
on the Post-it notes.
Yeah, he hand drew dicks on Post-it notes and stuck it. This is his brother that works for Fort Worth. And he found himself at his brother's desk one night on shift and just did all these drew out dicks on Post-it notes and put them all over his brother's stuff.
Places, yes.
Yeah, and he said the last one he found was like 3 years afterwards. It's like, I mean,
dedication.
That's commitment. I love that. That's good stuff. Way to go. All right, Karla. Now you told me you were a defensive tactics instructor.
Yes.
Yeah. So in other words, don't mess with you, right? Yeah.
Well, like Jim has mentioned, I've heard you're a female, you're too short, you're too pretty to be a cop. So, I felt like I was committed to actually be worth something and make sure I can handle my own, because it's harsh. It's harsh, man.
What, do you think you can take Curtis over here?
Absolutely.
I don't think you can.
I beg to differ, but confidence is half the battle.
If I'd have known, I'd brought some balloons.
Oh man!
Throwing a gauntlet down there is like, I've got change in my pocket.
Let me stretch out before.
Man.
Yeah. All right, Karla, have you seen any fun stuff related to defensive tactics? Because we haven't had a defensive tactics instructor on the show yet.
Really? Okay.
No, you're numero uno, man.
I mean, you've had a lot of badasses on the show, so I'm very surprised.
Actually, you don't have. I think you're our first female officer.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is.
Good.
Yeah, we got to change
Well,
it.
you
up
needed
in
some diversity. Come on now.
here.
I am
We can check
offended.
that box now.
I am heard that Britain was here before I was, but that's okay. I'll let that one slide.
Yeah, we got that one. Yeah, check that too. We've got no filter. All right.
But yeah, we at my agency we host a women's self-defense class, which is great, and I'm actually the only DT instructor for our agency, and it's all males instructors. I'm the only one, and it's very interesting to kind of give them my perspective when it comes to those things, and get to share that with them, with the ladies. We have a blast. It's an awesome class. It's a lot of fun. They learn a lot, and throughout the weeks, you can see their confidence growing. So it's 6 weeks, and at the end, that last week, at the end of the course, they have to fight one of the male officers. This one specific class, one of the other instructors, he wore the red man suit, and the red man suit looked like a bikini on him.
Yeah,
Just to kind of give you some perspective.
Give you a visual on this.
Yeah.
And if you're listening and you're not in law enforcement, when she's talking about a red man suit, it's the big padded suit. A lot of times you'll see him taekwondo, martial
type of
arts, stuff like that, and a big, huge padded suit designed to protect the person wearing it.
Absolutely. And it's so funny because like he's a big guy, and of course, ego comes with it. Not only that he is male, but the fact that he's a cop. We all got a little bit of ego. We like to boast and stuff like that. But he chose to not wear his what's it called? Protect the
Male protection.
Yeah. Well, that kind of sounds like a condom. We're not talking about that.
It's a cup.
Yeah, the cup.
The thing that protects the twig and
berries.
twig and berries. Yes.
Make sure all the furniture's in the same room. That is a very
Oh man.
Okay, so and yes, this suit specifically has
a purpose.
Yeah,
it serves a very good purpose.
Yes.
But you can choose what parts of the suit you wear. You can take the suit.
Yes, yeah. It's not like just one big thing that you slide in. You just kind of piece it all together, like your chest, your torso area, your arms.
Okay.
The diaper. Yeah. That's pretty important. It would have been, but he chose not to wear that part. So that's his choice.
So
some lessons cost more than others.
Yeah. So no protection right there. With what again?
The diaper or the cup. Yeah, the cup.
The cup.
The cup or the twig. And,
the twig and berries.
The twig and berries. Nothing protecting the furniture. Okay, go ahead.
So the ladies have to fight whoever has the red man, and my coworker was the one. He chose not to wear it. Not sure why. That's his choice. So it's about we usually start 1 minute, 2 minutes. So the first round, everything was fine. Did a couple more rounds, and then he fought one of our, she's now a crime scene technician, Holly. She's relatively small girl. She's young, so, they go at it. They're fighting. She's trying to give it all she has, and poor old instructor.
There you go. Yeah, don't slip on that
Poor old
one.
instructor took one right in the twig and berries, man.
Family
and he
jewels
went
right there.
down.
Yeah.
Oh,
On
I can
his
only imagine.
knees.
Like a sack of potatoes.
Yeah. Crying.
And
Tears came down.
He's a big male officer.
He probably went from a baritone to a soprano as well.
Yes. Yeah. It was hilarious, honestly. I probably because he was in pain. That part was funny for us.
He's in
not for
pain,
him.
so yeah. Of course it's
absolutely.
funny. He's in
Yeah.
pain.
Everyone was laughing but him. But yeah, it was good times, man. Good times.
Proves how highly effective, right technique and kick placement.
The right distractionary to strike will bring them to their knees.
It was effective.
Absolutely. I can see why.
She earned that certificate. Absolutely.
Yeah, good times there. Jim,
Yep.
I understand you got an incident in which you misplaced your car keys.
Well, I didn't misplace them. I knew where they were. I went on a call went into the house to take the report, and when I came out, I found I had locked the keys in the cruiser. So had my portable radio. I called. We had in Lexington at the time, we had 4 sectors, and we had one backup car that covered the whole town. So I called that backup town car to come assist me. At the time, all the cruisers were keyed alike, so everybody's keys would work in each other's car. So I called him, and I was just waiting outside, and I'm writing some notes down, and I see him driving down the street, and he pulls up right behind my car. He shuts his car off and just hands the keys out the window. So I walk over without saying a word. I just take them, go unlock my car, and I walk back and I hand him my keys. And I said, "You're not going to give me any crap about this?" He said, "Nope, I was, but on my way over here, I realized I left my gun at the station, so I got to go back and get it. So I'm leaving you alone." I'm like, "Okay, thank you." So at the time, we agreed we would keep those 2 things between each other, but that was 25 plus years ago. So
That's a good trade-off.
I think it was.
Yeah, that's fair. But had he not left his gun, then he could have.
he would have definitely given me the business. Yeah.
No, we way back when I was in training, all our cars used to be keyed all the same, and it was fun because back in that time, an officer goes to lunch, you could just go figure out where they're eating. You go over, you
I know this is going.
move their car for them, right? You do them a favor. You just jump in their car and move it somewhere else. But unfortunately, we went to a call and a set of keys got lost and never found. And so our department ended up having to fit the bill to rekey every one of our cars in our fleet. So, yeah, we don't have them all keyed the same anymore.
Did y'all ever go turn their lights on? Because of the old cruisers, you could turn the lights and stuff on because it wouldn't do it until you started the car. And they would get in the car and just start it up, and all of a sudden lights and sirens would go around for a QT or whatever.
I did not do that, but we did have one gentleman. He'd been an officer for quite some time. As a matter of fact, the week of he was retiring, we decided to play a little prank on him. He would go to the same place to eat breakfast every day, park in the same place, which is back around the back of the building, so his car was out of his line of sight. The keys were the same at that point in time, so myself and another officer, made our way over to his car while he was inside eating. Got inside his car, we rolled his driver's side window down. Prior to this, we had been down to our city shop where they've got a bunch of busted glass from cars, windshields and stuff. So we had it in a box, and we just sprinkled this broken glass on the ground. So it looked like his window was busted out. And then we took his car computer out. We took his duty bag out. We took his rifle out of his car, shotgun out of the car, and looked like someone broke in, stole all his crap out of his car. And we stuck it in one of our cars. We hid around the corner, and we just sat back with binoculars watching him. And again, he'd been an officer for so long. He was done. And he came out with his keys in his hand, looked at the ground, looked at the glass, looked at his window, and he's like, "Oh." Opened up the door, got in it, and just started driving off.
I mean, at that point,
Not
oh
again.
well.
Yeah, what am I going to do about it? So yeah, we had to holler at him real quick. No. Before you run to the station and tell Sergeant that, hey, someone broke into my car and stole all this stuff, why don't you stop and pull over? We'll give you all your equipment back. But it is funny as hell. So you gotta be creative, because again, you gotta have fun at work, because if you're not having fun, it's just work.
Absolutely.
Nobody likes to just work. You want to have fun. So
Definitely.
I do have another one here. I don't want to give too much up, but everybody's familiar with Ash Wednesday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was in court one day. I went down with another officer, and we were down for a DWI case. We had another officer that was up in the felony courts. He was there in a narcotics charge. And just so happened to be a Wednesday that we were there, Ash Wednesday. Well, this other officer who was up in the narcotics courts, he came down because he was done with his case, he came down to hang out with us. And he was down there, and we had a ADA, Assistant District Attorney from Dallas, walked in to the DA workroom where we were all sitting, and she had ash on her forehead.
Sorry. I don't mean to laugh.
You see where we're
I
going?
already know where it's going. I think I've been that guy.
So one of my officers there with me pointed at her, ma'am, you know you've got something on your right, on your forehead.
Not so much here. Not here, but right here.
Dead center, middle of your forehead. You got something. And he was dead serious. He had no idea.
Oh, yeah.
The other officer turned, looked at him, smacked him. Dude, you dumbass. Dumbass, it's Ash Wednesday. And this was coming from someone who, he had to have heard it on the way in because there's no way in hell he knew it was Ash Wednesday either.
Right.
But anyways, I was hanging my head down. Everybody inside the DA workroom was looking. I'm like, although I'm wearing the same uniform as these guys, I'm like, I don't know them.
You don't know.
Yeah.
You can only be embarrassed for them.
Yeah. Hey, you dumbass. It's
man.
Ash Wednesday. Like, oh, you guys are embarrassing. All right, let's take a break. We'll be back to more Offbeat in just a moment. And we're back to more Offbeat, the light side of law enforcement. I'm your host, retired officer Steve Rutherford. Co-host for today's show, Fort Worth detective Curtis Hadley.
Hola.
In studio, we are joined by Detective Karla Vazquez.
Hello.
And joining us remote from Boston, Massachusetts, we got retired officer Jim Berry.
Hello.
Well, Jim, you were sharing a story, not your story, but one you have personal knowledge of the search warrant process up your way and how someone handled that. Go ahead and share it with us.
One of
I know the story got me choked up. I was like,
one of our detectives at the department I worked at, when he first got on the bureau, he was writing his first search warrant for a case where you have to write an affidavit where you are swearing to the court in a statement of where you're searching, what you're searching for, the specific crimes that were committed, and you have to have a judge or a clerk that approves the search warrant. So he went up with his affidavit, and the magistrate at the court read it and said, no, you don't have enough for I need to know the specific crimes and need to know what you're searching for, sent it back to him. He went back, rewrote it, came back. Again, wasn't good enough, didn't have enough specifics of what they were looking for and where they were searching, so he sent it back. And this back and forth went on several times. So after the course of a few hours of rewriting and finally submitting it, the clerk read it, nodded his head, and he goes, okay, this is good, this is real good. And he raised his right hand, and the detective, thinking he was being praised, reached out and high-fived the clerk. And the clerk just looked at him and said, raise your right hand so I can swear you in, please. He's like, man. That's what you wanted. Okay.
He was so proud of his work. Hey,
so proud of it. He thought he deserved a high five. So
yeah, this guy is so proud I wrote this warrant great now that he wants to high five me, not swear me in.
Rookie move.
Yeah. And see, that's something you'll live your whole career trying to forget. So.
I won't let him.
Well done, sir. Well done. Yes. All right, Karla.
Mm-hmm.
You have one of the strangest calls I've ever heard of, and man, release this one to the wild here because this might be the only call we ever get like this.
Well, it's Louisiana.
Okay.
So
enough said.
Yeah.
We might see another one then if we get another. Just kidding.
Yeah, it's Louisiana, so it's very interesting. So while I was working in Shreveport, my husband, who's in the room, we worked together out there, and it was fun, man. It was fun because the crazy is definitely top notch. So we get this call. Husband and wife are arguing, can't get along. So the wife is saying that her husband is possessed. So we're very, very interested. Like, oh. Yeah, we're definitely going to that.
Yeah, this is getting good.
Yeah. So my husband downloads an exorcist manual.
Oh, like Exorcist for Dummies.
Yeah, like 101.
Yeah, Exorcist 101.
Well, you've got to be prepared for the
Absolutely,
call.
absolutely.
I'm assuming this is you've never done an exorcism before.
No,
Not on duty.
no. But we wear many hats, so hey, add that one, whatever hat that is.
All right.
But,
Well, you got to be prepared. So you got the download.
yeah,
How to perform an exorcism. Okay.
yeah. So we downloaded. We like okay, we're gonna take care of this call, provide top-notch customer service and exorcism as well. So we get there. Wife is very upset. There's some mental illness going on there, if that wasn't obvious before. But she is, very determined and adamant that her husband is possessed and he needs an exorcism right now. The husband's in a wheelchair, just like this woman is crazy, won't leave me alone.
Just trying to live his life.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
As he should. But, wife thinks he's possessed. And he's kind of antagonizing her, though. Because he's like,
Oh, he's bringing it on.
yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
well,
Two can play this game.
Yeah. I mean, he's sick of her. So he's like, I'm the devil. I'm going to kill you. All that good stuff. So, at this point, all we knew is that he probably did need an exorcism. So,
Okay.
but we were prepared to give it, because we had a manual.
oh, so like the manual was like, it's like
It
the
was
crucifix
digital.
should be held at 90 degrees. The arm should be perpendicular, 18 inches in front of your victim, or whatever it is.
Step by step, how to perform an exorcism.
Get the book over. No, Curtis. Step 2 says no. You don't hold the crucifix up until after like the garlic or some crap.
Yeah, we hadn't made it.
You're doing it wrong.
How to address if the head rotates 360. We didn't get that part, but
Shots fired.
thankfully, that wasn't the case. He was not possessed. She was just mad that he didn't want to take her to Taco Bell. However, she wasn't calming down. She was hell-bent that he was still possessed. So, we took him to the other room and we kind of made up this plan. Like, okay, we're going to tell her that we are going through with this exorcism and you're going to participate. And he was willing.
He's like, you made this bed. You're gonna help us.
You're gonna lie in it. You're gonna like it. So he agreed. We're gonna do this exorcism, and we talked to the lady like, ma'am, we're gonna do this. He agreed. He's wanting to get better, and then she finally calmed down and rode off into the sunset onto Taco Bell because she was hungry. So it was a pretty interesting call. Haven't had that one before or after that since then. So
Just a routine exorcism.
yeah. But I gotta keep it. Power of Christ compels you.
Grabbing your bottle of water.
Splash it onto them.
Water. Just throwing water on her. We've got you.
Oh, good Lord.
Louisiana shit, man. It's different out there.
Okay. Yep. That was a first. Wow. All right, guys. Remember, if you have not visited the website, check us out on offbeatonair.com. Again, that's offbeatonair.com. Make sure you subscribe to the email. If you are an officer and you have a funny story you want to come on the show and share with our listeners, give us a shout. offbeatcopshow@gmail.com. Again, that's offbeatcopshow@gmail.com. Guys, stay safe and watch each other 6.